Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin' Business Virtual Power Lunch. Please welcome your hosts, Tyler Price and Brian Magleby.
Talking business, baby!
Welcome to our show here on a snowy spring. Are we spring? Are we really spring? When you wake up and you got to shovel snow off your freaking driveway.
Man, welcome to Eastern Idaho, baby.
Yeah,
so at least we only have a little bit of snow in our background today.
Our backdrop is amazing. Hey, so I'm Tyler Price with the Small Business Development Center.
And I'm Brian Magleby with the Idaho Innovation Center, and welcome to Talkin' Business today.
Yeah.
So
we want to thank our sponsors, BBSI. Those guys are just amazing. If you have need of employees or anything within your business,
human resource, anything
HR,
human resource,
payroll, trainings, these guys got it all.
Yes.
Volpine Marketing also, Ryan just does great things for his clients.
Just saw Ryan out in the hall here today, and he does
an
absolute job of keeping our Facebook up to date and our website where everybody's watching this. So yeah, we appreciate Ryan at Volpine and X. These guys here are rock stars. If you need any kind of production done, at the West Bank.
These are your guys.
These are the guys.
They got space for events. Right now they have the chamber going on, their event, their lunch and learn or whatever it is going on, and as well as
and hopefully
you have video needed.
Yeah,
so.
and Andy, he's
in Hawaii. Yeah.
She's enjoying life in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the Small Business Development Center and the Idaho Innovation Center. So, so thank you for our sponsors. We couldn't do this show without them. So let's talk about some of the trainings we have coming up.
Yeah, well, and just briefly, I thought Katie Harris last week would get found first. How about that lady?
Yeah,
she's doing cool things. Blackfoot, you should be proud that you have a lady like that there with an amazing business, a great future.
And they're growing and they're taking
things,
over downtown. And it's going to be absolutely great to have them. And she was a great guest and highly recommend Get Found First.
Yeah. So, but we have a training coming up. If you're interested in QuickBooks, for instance, I think we still have a couple spots available.
We do have a few spots left, and it starts on the 26th of April. The 28th, and then it's every Monday and Wednesday from 6 to 9 at the Innovation Center. If it's something that you would like to do and participate via Zoom, we can accommodate that as well. So the class fee is $199, absolutely a great fee, a great class for that fee. It's by far the lowest priced QuickBooks class. And as we talked about last week, I've got a bounty out to knock him off. He's taught the class, I think 7 or 8 times, and he's only got 1 rating under a 5, and that was really because of COVID last year. It had nothing to do with his training.
And it was probably you that gave him
the probably
rating,
was.
So
I
anyway.
paid, I wish I could say I paid him, but absolutely a phenomenal instructor, done it many times. He's a guru. QuickBooks guy, and we're actually going to have him on the show the week before that starts. So we'll have him here on the 27th. So we also, if your business would like to learn how to do business with the government, or possibly could learn how to get some grants.
Some SBIR grants.
Yep, some small business innovation research grants. That we have a webinar coming up, and that's at on the 16th, Friday the 16th of April. It's a morning 8:30 to 10. It's an only virtual. Here's the flyer. If you need more questions about it, you can always just go to idahospdc.org and sign up for that, or the registration's there on the screen.
And we'll put links to on our Facebook pages also. But PTAC, which is a great resource, it's similar to the SBDC. If you're doing business with the government, they help navigate those waters. What does that look like? How do you get registered? Different things like that.
They walk you through it all at no charge, and it's absolutely great to have them on your resource if you're looking to do business with the government. And I can tell you, some people's business evolves around that, and you may be missing the boat if you don't at least check it out if you have a product that could be used with the government.
Yep. And the SBIR grants, I'll just say, there's one of the businesses that we're big fans of. They've ended up getting millions of dollars
into
the government's really interested in them getting launched, and it's an amazing product.
And if you can either fund your company with debt, or you could fund it with SBIR grants. And when you get grants, it's not something you owe, but a loan you will. So yes, it's very smart. If you're a smart business, you should be looking at these. So, and then we've got the Elevate Business class starting in May. And we'll talk about that later. It's core business principles that every business needs to know about. Elevator pitches, unique selling propositions, mission statements, vision statements, All of these things we'll be talking about in that class, and we'll be talking a little bit more about it in coming weeks. It starts in May.
Yeah, and I've taken that class back when I was a client of the SBDC years ago, and it's really great information. So
it is. Well, good. We're excited for today's show. We've got Julie Mason, which is a radio talk show host, and she is. We have her down as Julie Mason. I've known her for years as Julie Whitehead. And we'll have her kind of maybe explain that. But we're excited to have News Talk Radio host Julie Mason with us today. And we didn't get Neil here today, but we'll probably be talking a little bit about Neil today.
Yeah. That's the best way to talk about Neil when he's not around.
Yeah, exactly. You can get some words in edgewise, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, very cool. So you went to, because we've known each other how long now?
Many years, probably 15.
Yeah. And but you went to school for journalism.
I did.
Yeah.
That was my traditional college. I was a sports journalist.
Yeah.
I love sports. Grew up being a daddy's girl. He was an umpire. I followed him around, watched games, loved it. Still love sports. How about that game last night?
Oh yeah.
Wait,
Wow.
who won? I don't even know.
Oh,
Baylor, baby.
They really?
They beat the Gonzaga, dang it.
I was
but,
hoping for Gonzaga, but
yeah,
it shows you how
but,
much I cared.
But they did.
Good for
Baylor
them.
did win last night.
But I graduated from that journalism program as print journalism, and I was a mother already, wanted to stay home with my kids. It wasn't an incredibly friendly situation. So this was the path of me recreating myself.
Yeah.
I found jobs that were really wonderful for being a mother, taking my kids with me, still being engaged in my children's lives, being able to take time off for their activities, but also being an asset to my employer. Yeah. And that's really the key. If you're going to work for somebody, you have to be a good enough an asset that they will allow you to do these things. And so I had jobs all the way along that provided that for me. I kept reinventing myself. The opportunity came around it's been almost 4 years now, that I could go and use my journalism again. I had never sat behind a microphone, had no idea what I was doing as far as that is concerned, but I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Jumped off, and it's been a blast.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, tell us kind of your history of kind of where you've been and where you're at and what you're doing right now with the talk radio.
Okay.
We're going to get in and talk about your business as well. But
okay. Let's break it down in segments. I was working. I still work with Tyler. He's actually my boss.
Whatever.
We know
that
who
is
tells
very
who.
kind. I come in and I get yelled at, not yelled at, but told by my wife and Julie, there's toilets that need scrubbing and there's, anyway, but yes.
So
but thank you.
I was in need of a job change. Nothing bad had happened in my life with my previous job, but things were changing in that business, and that happens all the time. We know that businesses change. That business was changing, so I started looking for some other things to do. I came and talked to Tyler, and he offered me a job. It was fantastic.
Yeah, because you didn't come looking for a job. You came with something else. And I said,
came for
you want to know
education.
what? You need to come and take my job because I don't want this anymore.
So I began working with Tyler and Allison, and it's been fantastic. I've learned some great skills. Allison mentored me. That began my business, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I had hit a point in working for Tyler and Allison that I felt like I wasn't being that asset anymore. I wasn't having the kind of patience I needed to have with students. I wasn't doing the things that I felt like I needed to do for them. And I'm never going to take from somebody. That's not what this world is about. And so I had mentioned it to Allison multiple times. The opportunity came up on the radio. I believe in changing, growing, doing things different, stretching yourself. So I went, I applied for the job, started working with Neil. First day was amazing. He basically took me to the top of the ski hill and pushed me off, is what he did.
The best way to learn.
We were on air. It was an unusual situation. We were raising money for Primary Children's. We were on air for 12 hours that day. I had never sat behind a microphone, and the first day I sat for 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Baptism by fire there, baby.
But it was great. I learned so much, and I would say one of the biggest things I've taken away from working on the radio is I went in a novice, so I knew I had much to learn. Sometimes if you sit back and watch more than you talk, you learn a lot. And that's what I've done. I've really tried to pay attention to what's going on around me and learn from people who are good at what I was jumping into. And that's been awesome.
Good. So tell us about your experience, and you just you changed stations, and then but you're at 107.9
News Talk.
News Talk.
It's News Talk 107.9. So year of COVID hit. Craziness. We've
Yeah.
all experienced. If you're a business owner, you've had to adjust some way.
Yeah.
I promise you've
Yeah.
had to adjust. And we were not switching our personal opinions, but it was expected for us to switch our personal opinions. Specifically, I have felt very strongly that in a time like this, you need to address humanity over fear, always. Fear is there, but we always need to address humanity over fear, and that's the philosophy that I've lived lived by through COVID, and had expressed that on air. My co-host Neil Larson had expressed similar things, just in different ways. Those views weren't appreciated.
Yeah.
We couldn't come to an agreement with the owner of the place that we were working for. We left that day. That very day, we were off air at 10, back on our Facebooks by 2 o'clock, inviting our listeners to find us somewhere else. We bridged the gap for 6 weeks. We were offered a couple of different possibilities to start new. We bridged the gap for 6 weeks. Neil Larson worked incredibly hard and built a radio station somewhere else. In that meantime, we used our social media platforms to continue to reach our audience. We grew that immensely during that time.
Unbelievable, yeah.
People needed a way to find us,
Yeah.
and they came.
Yeah.
And then we started back on News Talk 107.9. It's been almost a full year. It'll be in June, beginning of June will be a full year, and it's been a fantastic ride. And one of the best parts is I have all new people to learn from,
Yeah.
and it's great.
So that, to me, has been one of the interesting things about this shift that's happening. Because if you look at print ad, like newspapers, I mean, I'm surprised that our newspaper, and I'm not trying to bash
No.
on them, I think it's a tough
evident.
industry to be in. I mean, look at all the newspapers that have gone out, right? Radio, I'm watching, and it's like the younger kid radio. The kids don't listen to it the same way. And in yours, your talk, people are going to still listen, but you're in a position where you don't need to be a radio station anymore. Your platforms are all built there. You just have to get the following, which I think is exciting and interesting. But where do you see talk? I mean, because it has pivoted. You got your people that are doing podcasts. You've got people that are just doing stuff through their social media, things like that. Where do you see you guys? Are there pivots? Because if you don't pivot, then I think you do get left behind.
Absolutely.
Are there things that you think that you could be doing on your platforms maybe a little better, or that are at least on the radar of what you want to do?
So let's talk about some of the things I feel like we've embraced really well in our situation. We do Facebook Live, so you can watch the magic
I did it this
happen.
morning.
So we do Facebook Live 3 of the 4 hours every morning. There's a benefit to tuning in with us on Facebook Live. You get to see what happens in the commercial breaks.
Yeah.
You get to see some of the craziness. We talk a little bit. We always say we're a little unbuttoned on that portion of it. We'll talk about crazy stuff. I feel like we've done a great job with that. I feel like we have cultivated that. We feel strongly that we're cultivating a community. If you want followers, if you want people, one of the things I say is you train the public. Well, we're cultivating a community. We're training them to find us somewhere else beside the airwaves. What Neil and I would love to do is expand that into podcasts. You're seeing that happen with national radio hosts. You've seen conservative radio personalities or TV personalities like Bill O'Reilly. He's moved completely away. His is all web-driven and podcast-driven. You see Ben Shapiro, a very young conservative that's coming up in the market. He's made huge splash over the last 5 years. He's creating an empire. They're jumping in culturally. They're doing films. I think that's the way you have to tackle anything in the media nowadays, which is why print journalism is struggling, because you're boxed into this medium and there's so many more avenues to go with. And we just need to explore those avenues.
Yeah, and I commend you for staying ahead of the curve on those. And I watch quite often on Facebook. If I happen to jump on and see the topic that you're on, I love to be able to join that way. And that is the wave of the future. Tell us about some of the guests that you've had on your show that you feel has been really impactful.
Well, let's talk about Idaho. We have a congressional set of leaders who are very open to us. Today we interviewed Congressman Simpson. We talked all about the dams. Weekly we interview Senator Crapo. He's really good unless they're not in session about being with us every Wednesday. Every other week we interview Senator Risch. And on Thursday we're going to interview Congressman Fulcher. There are a lot of states where people do not have access to their congressional district like that. They just don't have the ability to hear from them. Because you can stay insulated in those positions if you want to. There's no term limits. If you're in a strictly red state like Idaho, it's kind of easy to be reelected, right? So they don't need to do that, but they do it for us. So we're really blessed in this area. We have those. We do a lot of cultural stuff. We've spent some time locally recently talking about District 91. They're experiencing some challenges right now. So we've spent a fair amount of time with that. We've definitely tackled, worldwide issues like COVID, and sometimes to a not very popular opinion. But that's part of putting yourself out there in this situation. Is sometimes you say things people don't like.
And so you have a focus all the time on not only local things but regional and statewide as well.
Absolutely. You have the ability in 4 hours to hit all of those things, and I think our listeners appreciate that. They want to know all of those different things.
Yeah. Good. Well, we have a chat box. We haven't talked about it much lately, but if you have any questions for Julie that you'd like to have asked, put us in the chat box. We'll be monitoring it our best if we can. And if you have any questions there, we'll pose them to Julie. So you go by Julie Mason.
Yeah. Okay. So my married name is Julie Whitehead. Didn't play so well on the radio, and so my oldest child is a boy, and his name is Mason. And so began using Julie Mason as my radio name, and it's fantastic. Love that kid, and he's really talented in a lot of the aspects that it takes to do things like radio, so it's great. It's a good little homage to him.
Very good. And so before you came a radio personality, were you one that would like to listen to those type of shows?
I love being engaged. I actually really like podcasts. I was listening to the beginnings of podcasts 5-6 years ago. You didn't hear that word near as much back then. And I was listening to those things when I was doing the boring government reports that Tyler pays me to do.
Sorry.
So I love to be engaged. I want my mind to always be thinking. I'm not much of a sit still kind of person. I have this quirky thing I can do. I can read a book and watch something on the TV at the same time, and usually keep track of what's going on in both things.
Wow.
So
that's talent.
I love to be engaged. So no, I had never thought I would be on the radio, but I think you should take risks in life. That's what it's about.
But you don't like to sleep, so you are, because what time do you get up for the radio show?
Usually it's 3:45. That's when I got out of bed this morning.
Then you get ready and you go and you do the show, and then after the show
I leave usually between 11 and 11:30. Show ends at 10. I usually leave 11's a good target time. And then I head to my business, which is I do brows and lashes and skincare on a pretty healthy little clientele here in East Idaho.
Yes, you do.
And then after that, you go to the gym.
I go to the gym, I work out.
And so is there time that you actually do sleep then, I guess?
I try to carve in 6 hours.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's achieved, sometimes it's not.
That's why
well, good. Well, tell us about this business that you have and what the name of it is and exactly what you do. And we love to have budding entrepreneurs here on the show. And so tell us about that business and what made you want to do that.
Okay, so I mentored under Tyler's wife, Allison. She was awesome. I love to learn. I had already been working on my cosmetology licensure because that's where I was working, was a cosmetology school. And Allison and I love to travel also. And we went to Texas to have one of Allison's friends do our brows. Fun trip, went to Waco. Go Baylor. Saw Chip and Joanna Gaines' place, spent a week there, loved Austin. On the plane ride back, I looked at Allison and said, I can do that. And she said, absolutely, you can. So when we went down the second time, because it's a 2-visit experience, when we went down the second time, I asked if I could mentor, because I believe everyone should have mentors in their life. And I asked a mentor, watched her do some brows, felt even more strong about the concept that I could do this. Engaged in the training 3 months later and started a business. I was already doing lashes at that time, so it's lash extensions that are replaced about every 3 weeks. I had a little clientele going on with that. I started with brows. You know, you never know what the future holds. Yeah. I had 2 kids get married in the same year, a year later, and I was able to pay for both weddings with my money that I made off of my lash and brow business.
Well, that's great. And what's your business called?
Cashmere Jewels.
Cashmere Jewels.
Yeah, people who know me call me Jules. Yeah. And I like to provide what I consider a high-end experience for people. I think it's more than just the lashes. I think it's part of the experience that they come and have with me. I think it's the conversation. I think it's the atmosphere that you provide for them. I think it's the quality that you give them in life. And I felt like Cashmere represented that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. We have when we have guests come onto the show, we have them fill out kind of a questionnaire, and I just wanted to, I usually don't do this, but I wanted to read this thing. It's talking about success keys, and it says, it's a long climb similar to Everest or Kilimanjaro. Preparation before even the first step, then slow, continuous work. That will get you to your goal. And I want you to ask you to talk a little bit about that. As we have a lot of business owners that are out there that are trying to really grow their business, what do you feel are the keys to their success?
Okay, so let's talk about the prep first. You can't just start out hiking Everest without being ready, right? You gotta fill that tool bag with things. You've got to get yourself physically ready. You've got to have you mentally in a place where you know, I can handle this, I'm gonna be able to do this. So all of those things have to happen. For me, in my specific business, it meant in Cashmere Jewels, I had to get appropriate training. I had to know what I was doing before I started working on people. I also kind of had to suck it up a little bit. Yeah. It's pretty tough to take a blade and cut on somebody and know that that's going to be there for at least the next 3 years of their life. And so you've got to put fear aside. You got to treat them like somebody that matters. I think that's really important, to walk into the arena knowing whoever you're working with, treat them as if they matter. Yeah. Because they do. Yeah. They matter to my business.
Yeah. They do. And we're going to actually be talking about that at the end of the show. We have that part of one of our things. So.
And so that's part of the preparation. And then you realize you're going to make mistakes. I've had experiences with Cashmere Jewels that didn't go awesome. I've had clients who wanted to go somewhere else. Blessed, I haven't had that many, but you do have failures. I've had times on the radio where I've said things I didn't love. One time I was trying to say a word, I screwed it up, and I squished the F word in the middle of that word.
Nice.
Wow, interesting.
I mean,
Did you get fined for that?
That's an FCC violation. But, you know, things like that happen. You're going to fail sometimes, but you laugh at those failures, you learn from them, and you go on. I mean, I'm sure there's people who've climbed Everest that had to quit on their first try, their second try.
There's people whose bodies are still up there, right?
Yeah. And so it's all about preparation. It's all about going slow, following those mentors. A lot of people climb Everest with someone with them who've done it before. And they tell you, slow down, change your breathing, do this, and then you're going to be successful. That's why you have mentors in your life. You get a hold of them and you say, I had a bad service today. I didn't love what happened with this brow. Let me explain it to you. Walk me through what I could have done different. That's how I learned. That's part of preparation, right? Because I'm going to do a new brow service the next day. I need to be prepared when I go back the next day. I'm going to go on air again at 6 o'clock the next morning. I need to be prepared before I go and do that.
Yeah.
Well, freaking awesome.
Yep, you're right.
I paused because I thought you were right about to ask something.
Nope,
so
go ahead.
No, so now you've been blessed, and this is kind of shifting. Okay, so when we look at Eastern Idaho collectively, like recently you guys sold a home and bought a home, and you were blessed with the uptick. What are you seeing though? Because we're getting a lot of people moving into our area, right? So and they're coming from states that I would say don't necessarily think the way that Idaho thinks. So do you have an opinion on what's happening to maybe the demographic of political mindset of whatever? Are you seeing that
how's
the people
this affecting Eastern Idaho?
Yeah, because are you seeing that people that are coming here probably are like-minded? Not saying like we all have to be like-minded, but you're leaving a state for a reason, and it's not because it's good. And so anyway, I know I'm way all over the board, but
Oh, no.
are you seeing that in your demographic of listeners so far, of people from other states coming and listening
Absolutely.
and challenging you maybe even?
Okay, so first I would issue a warning. Welcome, people.
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
going to get new people here. That's actually a great
That's
thing.
a great thing.
It is
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. It increases business opportunities for our children. It increases the ability for you to grow. You learn from people who are different from you.
Change is always good.
Yes. So I mean, we do have people who will call into the show who will text and say we don't love the the Californication of
Yeah.
of Idaho.
Yeah.
That is where you step in.
Yeah.
We want to welcome these people, but you have to be vocal. You have to be clear and concise about the values that you want in East Idaho, and you represent those in the businesses that you do. If we control the business, if we start businesses, we don't wait for people to do it for us. If we're cultivating the business structure, the political structure, our school boards, our PTAs, if we're cultivating it, that's how you maintain Idaho values. If we sit back and don't do anything and allow people to come in and take those positions, you are probably going to see a shift.
Definitely.
So have those people come in, learn from them, but you have to do the work. You have to be active and be involved in your community in order for those Idaho values to continue to go through your generations.
Yeah.
No, and I do think there's a lot of great things that come from people coming together and just accepting each other for
Absolutely.
who we are, because there's been a lot of division. I mean, you've seen the divisiveness as you've been
On purpose,
reporting, right?
I fully believe, yeah.
And no, I think our government has failed us and wanted the divisiveness. I really do, and I think it's we the people that have to come back and say, you think this, I think this, but we can be friends and live in the same community, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So-
And that's, I think, one of the great things that you do on the air. So, Julie, is there anything else that you have that you could share with the business community of Eastern Idaho here?
I was thinking about this before I even came, and you mentioned that you were going to offer this opportunity up to me. I was thinking about some of the wonderful things that have happened to me in my life because I have been incredibly blessed. I've been surrounded by people who cared enough about me to share their talents with me so that I could become a better person. So that would be the first one. I would say make sure that you're willing to give back because I promise you've been affected in your life by someone who gave to you. So always be open to give back to people. My second thing would be I was thinking about the awesome things that have happened in my life. I just turned 48.
What?
Yeah, just turned
Whatever.
48.
Liar.
And we interviewed Senator Crapo that day, and Senator Crapo wished me happy
Yeah.
birthday, and I thought, not very many people get that, right? How awesome. But guess what? Senator Crapo's just a person.
Yep.
And every person who comes and sits in my chair at Cashmere Jewels means as much to me in my life as Senator Crapo does. He's an awesome guy, but so are the people who come and visit me. Don't ever look past somebody. Someone always has something to offer you. It's up to you to have an open heart enough to accept what they have to offer and learn from them. So as a business owner, that's what I would say. We talk a lot about networking and meeting people and everything. Don't walk past somebody because that might be the person that gives you exactly what you need to excel.
Wow. Love that.
Thank you.
Great business advice. As we do with the ending of every show, we ask our guests to talk about a quote that has meant something to them. And so we tell us about this. I love this quote that you had. I had never heard it, but I just loved it when you submitted that. So
Okay, so my quote is, don't live the same year 75 times and call it a life. And I feel, sometimes I think people will say a quote or something that's important to them, and then you look at them and you're like, does that really matter to you?
really apply?
I think my life is actually an example of this. I have done multiple jobs in my life. I have taken up hobbies and activities that I feel like I love, but then I was like, I'm kind of bored with that. I'm going to start something new. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Especially in today's business world. It's very rare that you meet somebody that gets that 35-year pin from their company anymore, right? That just doesn't happen
Nope, doesn't.
in 2021. So embrace it. Do something new. Do something different. Live different experiences. I love when I go on vacation. We share a love for a part of Florida. But when I go with Tyler's wife, Allison, I always ask to do something different. So the last time we went, we drove to the Keys and we stayed a night on a yacht.
Yeah.
We Airbnb'd a yacht.
Yeah.
You know what? And it was fun and crazy, and I probably won't do it again, but I did it.
Yeah.
And it was, I think you should always embrace change and have a good time in life, because you don't want to look back and think, I did the same thing over and over again.
Great advice.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
Julie Mason, Whitehead.
Thank you.
So what a great interview with you. Thank you. We wish you the best on air and in your business life as well. And thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
So very good. We're going to watch a quick video here about the SBDC, and then stick around, because we have 10 points, 10 golden rules of customer service. If you're in business, you're going to want to see these 10 things and hear about them. There we go, SBDC.
The Small Business Development Center is a statewide network made up of professional consultants in 6 locations throughout the state. Companies come to us with a felt need, and our goal is to help them reach their core need. Once we determine that, that's when we start to see companies prosper.
The SBDC helped us start, hands down. Having the tech center, having the resources from the SBDC helped us start our business, and we couldn't have done it without them.
The consultants of the Small Business Development Center are professional executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs themselves that really can relate to each of the small businesses to help them achieve their goals.
They got to know our business, inside and out. We told them everything about how our business works.
I feel like the interest that he showed too gave him a little bit more of an idea of where we needed help in.
The resources being tapped into my executive team, who themselves tap into SBDC almost weekly to gain information and knowledge base that becomes very instrumental in us making the right decisions.
We measure success by the success of our businesses. We really are industry and professional agnostic. So our goal is that if we can help those companies grow and thrive and expand, then that's success to us.
Thank you, SBDC, for their sponsorship, and there was a lot of people there in that video that were here in Eastern Idaho.
Yeah.
So we had multiple representations of clients with the SBDC on that. So thank you to the SBDC for their sponsorship. We today wanted to talk about the 10 golden rules of customer service, and we're going to be giving away this book. This is a topic that every business needs to learn, and I hope someone will take it and get some takeaways from this. We made this top 10 list, and we're going to give away this book at the end of the show. So let me start off with the number 1. I think this is a crucial thing. You got to find your why, and that's a great thing that you need to ask in finding why people want to do business with you.
Yeah. And number 2, call your customer by their first name. It is said that the most beautiful sound in the English language, or in any language,
that we'd like to hear,
is the sound of your own name. And so it is important to know your clients by name.
Yep, and Julie actually talked about this, about listening twice as much as you talk, and she actually mentioned in her interview sheet that this is why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So encourage you to use it in those right proportions.
And always tell the truth. I'm just so simple-minded, I can't keep it straight if I was to lie. Honestly, it's just, I can barely keep my life straight as it is. And it just doesn't set yourself up for success if you lie.
Yep, absolutely. Great thing. Never argue with a customer. If you do, you probably won't have repeat customers. So.
Yeah, I wish I could say I've never done that.
Yeah.
Under promise and over deliver. I think that kind of says it for itself.
It's a great philosophy.
Just,
every business owner should have is to under promise and over deliver. Next one is follow up daily, weekly, and monthly. And it depends on the client, but in doing a coaching session this morning, I told them that the aggressive bird gets the worm, and you got to just do follow-ups. And that some of the customers you can follow up with on a daily basis, some of them require weekly, but the aggressive bird will get the worm on this one.
Meet or exceed the energy level of your customer. And I'll say that there are times where when you go to events and there's all the booths, where people will show up in a chair and sit there and read a book and expect people to buy stuff from them.
Yeah.
A great business that I just love to death is owned by Letty Garcia. It's Garcia Street Tacos. She moved into tripled her size, actually.
Yep.
And she will stop and just talk to people.
And she's the first one
high
that
energy,
most people see
high
when they go
energy.
in there.
So it is, you know, people want to feel that you're focused on them, and
Yep.
that, I think that's what it's doing. So.
Yep. Good. Value your customers and thank them for their business often. This is a great thing that I will do repeat business with people who will thank me for their business and let me know how valuable I am to their business.
Yeah, and as for reviews and referrals, this one is so key now. It is so easy. If you're on Google, is to send the clients review, the links to the reviews.
Yep.
You've got to ask for them. Everyone wants the reviews. I mean, we have Lila Mata Barbershop, which I own with Mia Garcia, and I'll say that when we are very good at it, and I think we're pushing over 200 reviews in less than 2 years. So
that's great.
So it is, but you got to ask for it.
You got to ask for them, and sometimes you have to help them do it. But
Yep.
it's absolutely crucial if you want your business to be found. So we appreciate our audience. The first person, did we get that graphic done? If you can call 208-523-1026. We put it there on the screen. For the first person to call Tracy, hit 0 when you get the recording. We will send you the copy of 10 Golden Rules of Customer Service book. And tell us what you think about the story about the $6,000 egg. Absolutely a great book. Some of our 10 things we took from this. And it's an absolute great book. But we love to give some gifts out to our listening audience. Call and get a copy of this book, and we will have it there for you. So,
and it'll be my mom, because she's the only one watching. I think I said that joke earlier. So anyway.
I hope people beyond your mom is watching today. So let's talk about our show next week real quickly. We've gone a little bit over time. We didn't watch the time with Julie. Just got a little bit carried away
forever,
there.
huh?
So let's talk about the show next week. Cybersecurity. Wow, this can do a business in. And if you don't pay attention to doing cybersecurity, we have Tom Larson, the head of cybersecurity at the site.
Yeah.
The
So
most
knows
secure business here in Eastern Idaho.
Yeah, the site definitely takes things, and we have some great opportunities here for people that are looking to work in the cybersecurity industry at our community colleges as well as ISU.
Yep.
And they are filling jobs, and the site needs
a job
people.
of the future.
Yeah.
And Tom is an absolute
wait.
expert that is going to talk to us about what businesses need to do to make sure that they're secured and they won't be paying ransomware and all these other problems that can come up with it. So, he is an expert and absolutely phenomenal. We're excited to have him, and we'll be on air next week, Tuesday, Talkin' Business.
Peace.
Peace. Thanks, everybody.